Aloha, this is David Buck, and I can't believe it's been over a decade since I did my third HGTV episode on Hawaii life, and we're back at the same picnic bench here in Maunalua Bay where I did an episode with Keala and Dan Lee. And in that episode, we started off here and they were talking about their housing pains and what they're looking for. They were living in a little 500 square foot single family home. Yes, we do have homes that small on this island. And I later on went to sell that for them. I'll post a little bit of information on that here, but that's not what this is about. And what this is not going to be today is going to be something like Cobra Kai, where it's going to be a huge success on YouTube. I'd love for that to happen, or get a Netflix episode off of this. However, but I think for those of you that enjoy real estate and looking at people, looking at homes, I think you'll get a lot of kick out of this, because what we're going to do today is what I've done a few other episodes about, is covering what happened back then and what prices have come to today, you know, with over a decade of appreciation. So we're going to start this off, this episode, with the summary of the homes that we looked at. We saw 3 properties. It is very unique in this episode in the sense that they weren't all in one neighborhood. They were all over the island. And just to take a step back, they had a budget of like $600,000 to $750,000 looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. And most importantly, you're going to want to stick around to the very end, because there's something really cool I'd like to show you of where Dan and Keala are in their lives now, and some of the things that happened during the episode that we weren't allowed to share on air. Okay, stay tuned. And first off, we're going to shoot right down the road here to Kuliouou Beach Park, and that's where we did a summary of the properties that I showed Keala and Dan. Okay, here we are back at Kuliouou Beach Park, and this is where I did the summary of the properties that I was going to be showing Keala and Dan. What's super unique about this episode is the variety of the properties that we're looking at. First, we saw a single family home that's almost 100 years old in Punchbowl. Then second, we saw a condo right around the corner here in Hawaii at Kaimala Marina. And then third, we drove all the way out to Ewa Beach to see a newer construction home in Hoakalei. So yeah, this is where we did that summary. Kuliouou Beach Park, a beautiful place here in East Oahu. And now let's go take a revisit at some of the homes that we look at and see what's happened between now and then as far as pricing goes. Okay, so the first home we filmed with Keala and Dan was this home, 1911 Lusitania Street here in Punchbowl Crater. This home is now over 100 years old, and back then they were asking $719,000, and it ended up selling for $700,000. It was a big house. It was almost 3,000 square feet under roof. Okay, so back in 2014, the median sales price for a home here in Punchbowl was $732,500, and now just this during this past 6 months, it was at $960,000. So that's going to be a 31% increase over just over a decade. So maybe not the best return on money, but it did go up in value. But once again, it's a 100-year-old house, and Punchbowl does have a lot of older construction. So stay tuned, and we're going to check out the second home that we looked at. Was actually a condo out in Hawaii at Kaimala Marina. Okay, now the second property I showed Keala and Dan was here at Kaimala Marina in Hawaii Kai. It's a direct waterfront on the marina, 3-bedroom, 3-bath, and at the time they were asking $678,000, and it sold for $680,000. Fast forward to today, there hasn't been a sale in the last year, but the last 2 sales of that size on the water average $1,150,000, and today there's one in the market for $1,488,888. Now, based on the average sale price of those last 2 sales, that's a 69% increase. Not a bad return on money for roughly a 10-year hold. Now, stay tuned for a third and final property, which is going to be out at Hoakalei in Ewa Beach. This is going to be a newer construction home, which is quite unique and different compared to anything else we've seen. Okay, now the third home I showed Keala and Dan back then was this home here. It is probably, in my opinion, the most beautiful of all the 3 properties we looked at. This was going to be 91-1825 Waia'ama Street here in Hoakalei Ka Makana. Back then, the home was listed at $699,000. It was a 3-bedroom, 3-bath with over 1,800 square feet of living area. Sold at $670,000. And then what we like to do is we go through and look at what's happened in the market since then. So back then, the median sales price was $700,000, which seems pretty cheap compared to today. And now the median sales price over the past 6 months here in Ka Makana were $1,237,500. That's a 77% increase just over the past decade. And a lot has changed since then. Back then, there was only one phase of Hoakalei here at Ka Makana, and since then, there's been 3 more developments. The first of which is going to be Kipuka, which is the only gated community, and then there's Kuapapa, which was done after that, where there's a number of nice golf course homes that have been selling in both those developments. And then the final phase, there's one that's going on currently. So Keikailani is going to be directly on the ocean here in Hoakalei. I'll take you through a spin there just to give an idea of what those homes will look like, because they're selling directly on the ocean with unobstructed views, and they're going to be a much higher price point. As I mentioned, the median price here in Ka Makana now is like just over 1.2 million. Those are going to be around 2 to 3 million starting, but they're newer construction on the ocean. Fourth and final phase of Hoakalei that I mentioned, and they definitely saved the best for last. This is directly on the ocean here, and there's 3 model homes that are now set up, and it's an incredible product that they're turning over. And like I said, save the best for last. It's a very grand, high-end model homes that they have here, and I'm sure the finished product is going to be really nice. And so if you have questions about anything here in Hoakalei, Ewa Beach, or Oahu, I'm here to help. I'm at 808-371-3509. Aloha. Okay, now that we summarized Hoakalei, let's get back in. I got a special treat I want to show you, see what Dan and Keala ultimately did with their decision. All right, so here we are, 10 years later. I'm with Keala and Dan, and a lot has changed in your world. Did you guys have fun when we did that episode?
Oh, totally.
Yeah. Okay, well, a couple things have lots changed in their world, to be honest. First, we'll talk about real estate, then we'll talk about fun. Okay. So of all the 3 homes we looked at that day, which one do you think, I'll just refresh your memory, what do you think went up the most in value? The first one, I believe, was Punchbowl, and then we did one at Kaimala Marina in Hawaii Kai. And then the third one we did was Hoakalei out in Ewa Beach. Which one do you think went up the most in over a decade?
I'm betting on Hawaii Kai.
That's a very good bet, and you're very close.
I'm betting Punchbowl.
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
But that's also
No, please.
You got a 33% chance.
At the beach?
Yeah. So basically,
Wow.
Punchbowl actually went up the least.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yeah. So the Punchbowl home only went up 31%. Oh, considering 10 years of ownership, but if you can remember how old that home was.
Yes.
But it's a killer location. It was close to downtown, but like I was doing the math, it's probably over 100 years old now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. So I think there's that. And then Dan, you're close. Kaimala Marina. Now this is, what I did was just run numbers because that was a 3-bedroom one on the water, and I looked at that, and that went up about 69%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then what's shocking to me was the Hoakalei home in Ewa Beach was up 77%, which is just wild because typically when I'm talking real estate here in market cycles, normally the west side of the island is the last to appreciate and the first to depreciate in a correcting market. But I think what's going on there is we went through COVID, and so many more people want to be in single family homes these days than they do in condos. And it was a new product at the time. So that's my only, hypothesis on that.
It was a beautiful home.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway,
Shucks.
so now to the fun. I just remember, you did the coolest activity of all the episodes I did and all the shows I saw. You got to play James Bond and get out in the jet.
I remember it was going underwater in a jet pack or something like that.
Yeah. Well, you're above water, right?
Well,
He was underwater more than he was above water.
That's all I remember is underwater.
And I was just I was so jealous, how come I can't do that? But I'm not the star, you guys are the stars. So, but then I'm like, yeah, how come you're not doing that?
So that adventure was actually my idea, and I was so excited and really looking forward to it. And I have an adventurous spirit, but day before filming, we actually found out we were expecting our first child.
Yep.
And it was interesting filming, knowing this, but at the same time, it was still brand new. We hadn't been to the doctor yet, and so we just weren't ready to announce it.
Yeah.
But hence,
So basically, she told the production crew, but didn't tell me.
Yes.
Which, spoiler, her cousin.
Yes.
We're related. We're cousins. So we'll share that with you now.
See what happened was. No.
Yeah.
and it was so early on that we just didn't feel comfortable, like me going on a jetpack in the water. But it was very exciting to watch you enjoy my idea.
You're welcome.
Very cool. Very cool. So similar to that episode, it's been just over 10 years. What many people don't know, I see you sweating. I'm sweating. They film these episodes in the summer, but air them in the winter. So, like when you see people sweating out here, we're just turning July right now,
Yes.
right? So it's hot outside.
Yeah.
But yeah, the most fun thing, we got some pretty cool. Do you want to share anything else?
Yeah, we have
Yeah.
2 little friends now that have joined our family.
So a lot has happened in 10 years. Care to share a little bit more?
Oh yeah. Hey girls, get over here.
Look at these cuties.
So our 10-year-old, and you gotta jump. One.
Oh my goodness.
Our
10.
8-year-old.
You want to jump up? Or did you want to jump up? No. Okay.
Can you say aloha?
Aloha.
And how do you say aloha in Fijian?
Oh no.
I say hello in Fijian.
Bula, bula.
Bula?
Bula.
Yeah.
Okay. Aloha and Bula.
Bula.
All right, so we talked about all the 3 properties that we saw in that episode, but to find out what decision they ultimately made, because I didn't test you coming into this because you don't track all the markets on the island, but to see what decision they ultimately made, you probably want to check out that episode. It's, I think, season 4, episode 8.
Yes.
Yep. And the kids
Check
are
it
going to
out.
watch it tonight.
We're gonna watch it tonight with the girls.
All righty. Aloha.